Good morning, good evening, hello to you wherever you are in this beautiful world. You are watching Adobe Live, and I am so excited that these are our special Lightbox Expo streams. So first, let me tell you a little bit about what all that means before I just let that go into the void. So first, you're on Adobe Live. This is on behance.com. It's our awesome streaming show. They do it every week, new topics all the time, graphic design, illustration, making apps, all sorts of stuff. So check us out, and you can even stream yourself if you'd like. You can stream your artistic process. But today what we're doing is the special Lightbox Expo streams. And I am here with Crash McCreery, who is a total hero of mine. Crash, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks.
You are you're most famous for your work on Jurassic Park in my heart. But I know that you have worked on so many big blockbuster films throughout your incredible career. Please tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I've been in the industry for, over 30 years now. I was counting years. It's like, oh my goodness. And I started at Stan Winston Studio, and I was there for about 10 years. And started freelancing around 2001 and jumped around a lot, different projects, whatever kind of came my way. Hooked up with Gore Verbinski a lot on the pirate movies, which was another, I think, a milestone in my career. Wow. And for the last 3.5 years, I've been at Universal Studio Pictures, working on the Universal Monsters, trying to get them rebooted. So it's been, I feel very, very fortunate.
So we're talking like Frankenstein and stuff, like classic.
Oh yeah, Bride and Creature and the whole gang. So I know it's a dream come true for me.
That is so cool. And you and I actually met at Lightbox Expo 2019, and I loved talking shop about dinosaurs with you because I almost became a paleontologist because I love them so much. And I felt like we had that same energy where
Absolutely.
You also...
That's what I wanted to be when I was a kid, for sure. I was going to be a paleontologist.
Turns out you can just draw them instead.
The next best thing.
All right, well, let's dive into looking at your work, because I think that's what the people want to see. They want to hear about all these beautiful dinosaurs. So let's go ahead and switch over and look at your art. So I started with this one, and I titled this Creating the Blueprint for Movie Dinosaurs, because this is your T-Rex. And now this is the world's T-Rex, because every T-Rex you see looks like your T-Rex. Crash.
That's great. That's nice. Thank you. Well, it's funny because this was the very first drawing I had done for Jurassic Park. And it was just before Christmas time, I think. And we had kind of heard the rumblings of this new book coming out and called Jurassic Park. And we at Stan Winston Studio heard from Steven Spielberg's office that he's going to do this movie, and we're all getting very excited. And we actually got an advanced manuscript of the book. And there were about 3 or 4 other just hardcore dinosaur guys at the shop at the time. And we were just going out of our minds. This is going to be the coolest thing ever.
And it is.
And in fact, several of those artists are super key in the development. Like you said, it is kind of the blueprint. And then being able to work with other sculptors and other artists like Mike Tursick and Shannon Shea and Chris Swift and Joey Orozco and Bill Basso and Paul Mejias, like they all kind of started to put their flavor into it too. And it was just really a perfect storm of talent that came together to make that show happen. So
it's so exciting to me to hear that. And so I think my first question is you're working on these dinosaurs. How did you do research on the dinosaurs? Like, where did you, because not only was this an interesting time for dinosaur science, but it's always been a niche sort of world. Like, how did you get facts for how to create?
I was always into dinosaurs since I was a kid. Like King Kong was like my favorite, film ever. And this is before the internet. Like, there was no internet back then. So it was books. And, I had been collecting dinosaur books since as long as I can remember. And one that stood out the most was Gregory S. Paul's Predatory Dinosaurs of the World.
Yes.
Because he had this really cool, simplicity to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes dinosaur art can get a little too fanciful, and he kind of boiled it down to if these were real animals. And and that was the goal to creating the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, was to make them feel real and not fantasy characters, you know. So that book was a huge help. I also, like you said, it was a time when all of these new ideas were coming out about dinosaurs being warm-blooded and feathered. Yeah. And Backer's book, The Dinosaur Heresies.
Yes, the Dinosaur Heresies. Oh my gosh, what a classic.
Was such a cool read, and it had so many cool, you know, like that action. And so it's funny because the image you just showed, as much as the anatomy is a little kind of messed up, it had a lot of energy to it. You know what I mean? It was about, we wanted, like, you know, we were used to the Harryhausen kind of T-Rexes, which were awesome, but we wanted to see something that had a little bit more, you know, agility and power, and you know, his feet are too bird-like, but that was kind of the point. I was trying to make a statement, you know?
I see that. And actually, I see that statement in the Velociraptor stuff. So what I've done is I've sort of separated out some of your most like just beautiful pieces of art into dino spots, right? So first we've got the raptor. And so we'll spend a little bit of time talking about those. And then y'all in the audience, we're going to get to a point where I've got a bunch of sort of honorable mentions where there's just one picture of the dino. And so when I tell y'all in the chat, like, put out your favorite dino, and hopefully there's a picture in here, and I'm gonna try to find it for you. Okay, but first let's talk a little bit about Velociraptor. And clearly this is the baby one, like the one that's hatching, right?
Yeah, and that was the original idea. But it was, well, actually the original idea was that it was going to be a Triceratops hatchling. That changed in the script, so I switched it up to a baby raptor. And the thing about the raptors is it's all in the eyes. Like, you know, the T-Rex is huge. I mean, it's about his mouth, you know, and his power. And the raptors, it was all in the eyes, because there's so many, if you watch the movie, so much of that is the intelligence that's going on behind, you know, those eyes, and the intensity, and there's just connection. So doing these pieces, you know, I really wanted to concentrate on making sure that the eyes connected.
I love it. And it really does. It's cute. You made a monster cute. It really is. And here's sort of that beautiful, like, just, you know, like almost anatomical shot that shows off the whole body. And this is what really struck me, is you put those arms backwards like bird wings. And I see what you're doing there. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, any chance that we had to kind of like turn the idea of what we've seen dinosaurs up to this point as on its ear, and really kind of push those limits. To make you feel like it's got kind of this bird-like quality to it, and also the decorations on the dinosaurs themselves. I had a lot of fun just kind of experimenting with that. And the anatomy, what was really fun for me on this show was that these were literal blueprints for the sculptors to kind of start their sculpts and go off of. So a lot of them have this kind of scientific drawing, you know, kind of profile, you know, getting proportions down and all of that. So it was a bit of a challenge to still kind of make sure that you could put in some of that personality. And I think the things like the arms and the eyes kind of added to that.
Well, you know, it was such a unique time, because this is right when Jurassic Park came out. It was that time when paleontology was moving in that direction from the dinosaur heresies, saying, hey, I think these guys were warm-blooded. I don't think they were lazy lizards. And isn't it cool how your art and the science sort of is changing the way that people see dinosaurs? Because today, this is not strange. Like, this is like...
absolutely. And I think it's a great, I mean, it's science just kind of stepping in, because it was tough for me. Like, I had to get over not having a King Kong T-Rex. You know what I mean? Like, any Harryhausen stuff, you know, 1 million years BC and Valley of Guanji, and like those were like my staple. And you know, I'm an older fella, and that was kind of like, that was ingrained in my brain. And it was like, kind of, as the general public had to kind of accept these new ideas and get used to this. But the artwork that exploded after Jurassic Park came out from so many good artists, that it was just so exciting. And so, you know, just from feathers to color and to action, and it kind of revitalized the whole idea of dinosaurs, that it wasn't just this kind of picking at bones in the desert and slow moving lizards.
Yeah. Volcanoes in the background, palm trees in the foreground, like it
Yeah.
changed it. And
Cavemen
you had
throwing
it.
spears at them.
Yeah, you had a hand in that. And I love it.
Oh,
Now,
thank you.
this piece. Okay, so I loved this as a kid, and I actually remember drawing it on the desk. You know how you weren't supposed to draw on the desk in
Of
school,
course,
but I
yeah,
did because I was
Nice.
bad. And I would
carved
draw
mine
my
with a
own.
knife. Sorry, go ahead.
I would draw my own version of this on desks and make it look like it was ripping out of the desk.
Awesome.
It's so cool.
Thank you.
Talk to me about this. Talk to me about this.
Well, this was a scene in the book where they
Yeah.
come up to the gate and at the fence, and they're like, "I don't see anything. What's going on?" And all of a sudden, this explosion of action comes at you, and they attack the fence. And that was, to me, it was the first time they talked about how fast and how intelligent and how dangerous these things were. And so just like in any project, when I'm reading a script, I'm always looking for something that kind of exemplifies the story, the movie. What's this movie really all about? And that scene kind of stuck out as like, oh, this is a great opportunity to show not just dinosaurs, but also a man-made element, the fence.
Yeah.
Says this is not prehistoric. This is today.
Yeah.
And yet we're dealing with this prehistoric kind of energy that's terrifying.
Ooh, so good. And these little babies are just the cutest thing that will rip you open.
Yeah, I really liked this image when I'd done it. In fact, somebody, and I feel so bad that I don't have the name, had done a maquette, a model of this, for sale, which is really cool. But I wanted to make them very playful, and the one on its back, because I grew up with cats and dogs, and I know how they are. But I still wanted that one guy in the foreground, his eye to be kind of looking at you like, I'm cute now.
Just wait.
Right. He's even got a little smile.
He does. And again, those arms turn backwards. I saw that, you're pushing that button. I love it.
Thanks.
Cool. Okay. Let's talk about the big baddie or the big goodie, right? Because like it kind of saves.
The big baddie kind of goodie.
So there's this story that you only tell best, so I'll let you, but about how you moved from stop motion into the digital world and how that started with the T-Rex.
That was terrifying. Yeah. Well, working at Stan Winston, because we were all live action makeup effects. Yeah. And digital was just coming, like Terminator 2, I remember being, and we were actually working on Terminator 2 when this started. And the digital effects in Terminator 2 with the T-1000? Yeah.
Yes, T-1000.
Molten, kind of robot dude was groundbreaking. And as we continued through the development of Jurassic Park, Phil Tippett came in with these amazing go motion, raptor tests we had running. And it's like, his stuff is so brilliant that we were just stoked. Like, this is going to be so awesome. And we actually played with some puppet ideas, like rod removal and all that stuff, but still kind of keeping it real. And we knew we were going to build actual dinosaurs, so that was cool. And then I remember I was sitting with Shane Mahan in the offices before anybody showed up. It was in the morning. He goes, "I got a tape." And I go, "What's it of?" And he goes, "ILM's T-Rex digital test." And I was like, oh my God. And we put it in and watched this, and it was just the T-Rex walking through this open field near a tree. And we just looked at that and went, we're done. Like this, you don't get any better than, and even then, if I were to look at it now, I'd probably say like, oh, it's a little crude and they had to do this, that, that. But it was so mind blowing. But at the same time, we were so excited because we knew it was going to be so awesome in the movie. Like, we're going to make these things come to life. And fortunately, it was a great marriage between the two. In fact, there was 70% real live action dinosaurs in the movie and about 30% digital.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you were able to make both work. It wasn't like somebody was actually...
both work, and it was really cool because it kind of, having real dinosaurs on set made the actor, help the actors react, right? But it also gave ILM kind of like, okay, you got to match this, right? So when we're shooting this raptor live in a kitchen, it's got to match that perfectly. So there was this great mutual respect going back and forth between both companies.
I bet. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of Sue. And if you all out there don't know about Sue,
Yeah.
she's the most complete Tyrannosaurus skeleton in the world. And she had
Yeah.
this big legal battle
Mhm.
over her, who owns her. And she's named
Right.
after the woman who found her.
Right.
Did you study specific skeletons like Sue, or how did you sort of build a dinosaur?
Well, it's funny because we were able to get a cast of a T-Rex skull, and it's funny because when they find these skeletons, they're always squished and just from the pressure
Right.
of being buried under tons of earth, and so the distortion is always kind of, you got to kind of look past that and kind of figure it out. And people like Gregory Paul and Henderson and all these other artists that were kind of reconstructing that. But the thing is, it's like if you look at a hippopotamus skull,
Yes.
anything like a hippopotamus, not even close. So the fact that they were kind of lizard-like in their skin, which that the ankylosaur they found recently with the it wasn't an ankylosaur, but it was of that family,
Right.
where
Right.
the skin texture was preserved and even some of the
Yes.
color, unbelievable. So we know that there was this kind of reptilian aspect to it, and reptiles tend to have their skin pretty close, not a lot of fat. So mix that with bird, if you plucked a chicken.
Yeah. Like
And I
chickens.
think we could really go off of the skeletal, kind of structure that we knew we had, and just not diverge too far from that, And really, it was about putting the skeleton in the correct position more than anything.
Right. Right. That makes sense. And actually, before we go further, apparently Bobby Chi wants to know if you got a credit for being one of the raptors. And I forgot that that was one of the things. Like,
Oh
are we allowed
yeah,
to
I
talk about
think
that?
so.
You
I
were in
think,
a raptor suit.
yeah, John Rosengrant and I were in raptor suits. He took the majority of the work. I was more of a backup in case something happened, but there was a shot in the kitchen where we're both in it, which was really fun. And
It's crazy.
yeah, it was just, to be a part of that company and work with those artists and then get to do that
Yes.
was
Yes.
amazing. So
I can't even imagine. Okay, but let's go back to T-Rex. Sorry, I'm keeping one eye on the chat
no,
and one
that's
eye
okay.
on all
Yeah,
this.
sure. No worries.
So this was cool. This is from the Lost World, right? Where the baby
Correct. Yeah.
T-Rex, he hurts his
Mhm.
leg. I had this toy and it looks exactly like your art.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So
Again, there was a scene in the script where he was tied to a post, and I think they're trying to attract something or someone. And so I just wanted to kind of have that, tethered dog, like when you see a dog tied up and you just feel so bad
yeah.
for it, and especially if it's something that's hurt. So this was really more of kind of like really feeling sympathy for it, as opposed to what the baby raptors were. This was
Yeah.
more about, we know what he's going to become or she is going to become. And so it was just more of that kind of calling out to its mother. I think that was the point of the story.
I think that is. Oh, it's
Yeah.
sad. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Dilophosaurus. This
Yeah.
is such a cool one because it's a deep cut dino, not a popular one.
Mm,
And then the book gave you so much direction. That's where the sort of
yeah.
the frill and the spitting came from,
Real.
right?
Yeah. This one had the most artistic license, kind of variety to it,
Yeah.
in the book. But we loved that idea. We just love, again, he was taking things we know today, applying them to these creatures, and so subconsciously you're kind of accepting it because it's something you kind of know. And so that's what was kind of cool about grounding these dinosaurs into reality.
Yeah.
As wild as that is, we aren't surprised by that because we have seen it before. So
Yeah, it's
um,
true. It's true. But I also love that this feels, it feels so beautiful. And again, it's this really an anatomical, scientific illustration to me. But you
yeah.
were telling me that they're a little bit smaller in Jurassic Park than the real one.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I think they're pretty big. They're not
Oh,
like
really?
T-Rex size, but they're larger. So that was kind of a bit of artistic license. Not to say that it couldn't be a young one, but it had a feeling that it was more of an adult,
Right. Right.
especially in
And
its
what
attitude.
Yep. What I love is also the little drawing of the person. For all y'all out there who don't know, like that's how a concept designer and a concept artist like Crash can show scale, right? And
Correct. Yeah.
how do you deal with scale when it comes to like a T-Rex versus a Dilophosaur? That's something you got to think about, right?
Right. Well, we'll do like 15 of those at different scales until the director
Oh,
goes, oh, you know what makes sense? It's got to be small. It hit this size because it had to fit inside a car, right? Because
right, the Jeep.
Nedry gets inside the Jeep and then there it is. So it's cues like that from the script that kind of tell you what you can and can't do.
Wow,
And so this one was pretty specific. Yeah.
it's crazy. And these are just so beautiful. You see such
Oh,
bird-like personality.
yeah, the one on the left, it was kind of like, when you make a weird sound to a dog and it kind of cocks its head and looks at you like, what? This is kind of, this was the description of the Dilophosaur, and that it had a curiosity about Nedry before it kills him. But there is this kind of weird playfulness going on beforehand. So I was just kind of wanted to show how you could maybe, show that in his actions.
It totally comes across. I think also a lot of people in the chat have been asking questions, and I'm sorry, y'all, I can't get to all of them. We want to get through the dinos. I promise there's good stuff. So I apologize. But the one question that I think really works to ask you is, what materials do you use when you draw? Is this just pencil? Is it pen? What are you working with?
This was all 2B pencil. That's all I used for 10 years was a 2B pencil. It's like a lead pointer with graphite leads inside it.
Not even a 6 or an 8, just 2.
No, 2B. There was well, this is a weird kind of little fact, but it was a turquoise, that company, the 2B leads, and then something changed. Like they changed the formula or something, but they've never been the same since. They're too soft now. And so I can't find leads that were able to do, like I could get darks and yet also very subtle and kind of, super light grays with that one lead. And it went away.
Aww.
I know. So it's kind of scary when your tools get kind of,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But I can tell you're going to be great in any medium. Come on, these skills transfer. Transfer. Let's chat a little bit about the sauropod side of things. So Brachiosaurus, this does bring up the idea of scale. Like again, designing for something so big and still making it readable.
Yeah. Especially this was more of kind of, obviously, it's going to be a little bit more friendly and it's not going to be, so this was an attempt to kind of make it feel, even though they have these kind of crazy sharp teeth, just to make it feel a little more cow-like, more benevolent. In the full size drawing of the Brachiosaur, which I'm not sure if,
I got it. Sorry.
It was real important to get the detail right. If the detail gets too big, it doesn't feel like it's huge. So you really got to take scale into account when you're putting in folds and scales. And you want to start with nice, big, broad strokes and then kind of work your way down to where if you're on the head, even that detail is super fine. And because that'll ruin the illusion of scale if there's, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And I think that's what's so impressive is that it does still feel huge. When I look at this drawing on the right,
it's like when you look at an elephant, like from a distance, the whole hide just kind of grays out. And as you walk up to it and get closer to it, then you start seeing all the wrinkles and they even have this kind of pebbly skin too, when you have to get right up to it. But it's a matter of degrees, depending on how large the creature is.
Well, it's got to be tricky for movies trying to do that at the right scales for different shots. And I'm sure you're well versed in having to come up with ways to do it.
And they've got great ways of kind of cheating it with atmosphere, and that kind of helps too. If there's a little bit of more of an atmosphere at the top of the head, he's like a skyscraper up there. So they have the benefit of physical effects and stuff. I mean, atmospheric effects and things like that.
It's true. It's wonderful. Next, we got Triceratops, which I'm sorry, I feel like they were robbed in the first movie. Triceratops didn't get enough love. And this was my favorite as a kid. Like it's
Right.
not today. My tastes have differed as in adulthood with dinosaurs. But
Right.
as a kid, this was my bread and butter, was sick little triceratops.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, these drawings were actually really fast.
Mm.
We had Joey Roscoe was going to sculpt the full size one, and they just wanted to see, what the position would be. So I did this really quick sketch, sent it off, and then they said, "Great, jump into the sculpt." So I think I did a later version with the trike standing.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, oh, there it is.
Sorry.
Which to me, that I've kind of felt like this got a little too retro. Like I think there's some really interesting concepts about their head position.
Yeah.
And yeah, that and this was mostly done, I think, just for texture, which I think she showed up in the second movie or the third.
She did. Yeah, it's either
Yeah.
the second or the third. So they still use this.
Yeah, it comes breaking out of a
Yeah.
cage or something. Yeah.
That's right. This is one of those where when you think about that hippo skull, and if y'all out there will just Google that up and look at it, I feel like there's places to go that could be wild, and I totally want to see. I kind of like, that's my I wish I could see that from you, Crash. Like, go wild with triceratops. And
oh, that would be cool.
Right? What does it look like really? Because who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's cool to kind of, when they think about the lifestyle, and the reason you would have that frill is for defense. So it had to be mobile. So any idea of skin kind of connecting over the top of that may not be the right direction to go. So I think that's what's so fascinating about these things, because they lived on this planet at one time.
Right.
And all we can do is give our best guess as what they looked like. And that's what's so exciting about them. That's why you and I love them so much, I think.
Because it's just blue ocean, as they say in the business world. It's like, you can imagine anything you want, and it might be right,
But you still have some parameters to work with, which is nice.
Yes, you do.
You have a skeleton. Yeah. So if you can make that skeleton make sense with whatever you do on top of it, that's what's super exciting about it. Otherwise, you're doing a dragon movie,
Oh, it's true. You're right. You got me there. You did dragon movies though too, didn't you? You did Dragonheart. I remember this, which is beautiful. The dragon in Dragonheart's beautiful.
Oh, I didn't work on that one.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No, that's okay. I remember it coming around. Yeah, no, that was the one I wasn't a part of. I wish I had been. I love dragons too.
Yeah, dragons are sweet. Of course we do. Okay, so now we're in the honorable mentions section, where there are a bunch of different dinos here. And we got about 20 minutes left.
Okay.
I think that's right. I think 20 minutes is about right. Hopefully Paco can tell me if that's incorrect, because I can't see the chat. But so people in the chat, in the Adobe Live chat, shout out who you might want to see. And I'll see if they're in this deck by Crash. And we'll just kind of talk about the influence and the design and see what they think.
I'm just thrilled somebody's watching.
Yeah, right. Of course, you got a lot of somebody's watching, and they're all freaking out, and they've got all these questions, and I know, and so we'll try to answer them. Oh, I don't see one yet. That's a dinosaur that we have. I saw some earlier that were dinosaurs that we had. Oh, here we go. Parasaurolophus. Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
And actually, you said it differently. So is there an appropriate pronunciation? I'm screwing up. You said...
How'd you say it?
I said Parasaurolophus.
And I said Parasaurolophus. No, I don't know how to say it. God damn it.
That's okay. Well, I know that this is... No, you're fine. Don't even worry. This is a wonderful hadrosaur, right? One of those duck-billed dinosaurs, one of the most unique. Where did you guys use this one in the films?
There were several. The ankylosaur, and I thought there was one other one. They were kind of background, really. They were like, let's populate this, like when comes back with the brachiosaur, and you see others, the Parasaurolophus. There, I said it. Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurolophus. I don't know. If there's paleontologists in the chat, tell us how to say it. But I don't know. We'll go with that for now.
Yeah. So anyway, they were more background, and they were in a stampede at one point, and yeah, so that was cool because even if it's in the background, it had to be designed, and so I had a lot of fun doing that as well.
Yeah, it's such a unique face, you know. I feel like just like the Triceratops, you could go crazy places with
Yeah,
it.
and I think I referenced like a deer, like they felt like kind of, that kind of aware, there's something about deer heads I love, and I love their eyes, and I love the structure of their cheekbones, and
Yeah.
so I tried to put a lot of that into her.
I can see that. I can see that. Absolutely. Okay. We got a lot. There's a lot of us paleontologists in the chat, actually. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome. And we're so grateful for your knowledge. So Pachycephalosaurus, I saw earlier. What a unique creature. Love this guy. And you were telling me about how you were trying to get like that vertical spine.
Yeah. What's cool about this dinosaur is the attachment of its vertebrae from the neck into the head. And it's not exemplified here. I had done some other sketches where it was in different positions, but it allowed it to be practically completely horizontal with its head, that crown, that bony crown.
Yeah.
90 degrees to its body, so that, like rams, like when they're running into each other. So its construction was super unique. And I don't feel like I really captured that here, but I just kind of, again, I went a little retro on his position. But he's weird. They're weird. They have like 5 fingers on their hand or something.
It's a strange offshoot, right? And they're in their own like family. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get the phylums all screwed up. They're on their own out there, right? Where it's like they don't really fit because those 5 fingers mean they're not a hadrosaur.
Right, it's weird. Yeah.
The paleontologists.
That's what's fascinating about them. You just kind of like, okay.
The paleontologists in the chat are all like, no, the science is wrong, Renee, sush. So they'll correct us as we.
Well, you know what? We'll approach it this way. This is what we were understanding when we were doing. So I mean, even from
it evolves.
Oh gosh, it's been 30 years now, right?
Yeah,
30 years. So a lot has been discovered, and I've kind of fallen out of it trying to.
I have too.
Family fed.
I have too. Yeah, it's. We both need it. So if one of the paleontologists in the chat can do a one-on-one to catch up me and Crash on the last 30 years of scientific research, we really appreciate it. Just drop your email in the chat. We'll contact you.
That would be
terrific. Right. Okay, we had, somebody said my favorite, which is baryonyx. I'm so sorry there's no baryonyx, but as an adult, I have evolved to that being my favorite. So Stephanie, I see you. Well,
Spinosaur is kind of in that same...
And we had some people asking for Spinosaurus, so let's go ahead and talk about it.
Because it's got the baryonyx head, it has that fishing head. And I love the new ideas that was almost completely aquatic, which they've been talking about lately.
I hadn't heard that. Tell me more.
Yeah, just because of the sail and the breadth of the tail. Like, it's not really here because we knew this was going to be up against T-Rex on land. So, kind of more of a fan tail might not work as well.
Right.
And so the fact that its main diet was fish, and this, then they're trying to figure out the sail and what that did, and its purpose. And I've just been reading, what few articles I see come my way about, wow, it might have spent most of its time in water.
That's
so
crazy.
I can imagine, like, if you look at that flat head, like an alligator, that kind of, above
those nostrils are up there, so I could totally see that as well. But I'm not sure. I don't think I ever realized that they might just be aquatic. Ooh, I love it. I really love it.
Very interesting.
Okay, who else do we got here? We actually have an email in the chat from a paleontologist, so maybe we'll chat about that later.
Okay. We're gonna go to
Nathan. We are, and it's gonna be beautiful. You and I are both gonna be like,
yeah, that's what I meant to say.
So the compy, the adorable compy. So this guy, he's in the first book, but in the second movie, right?
Correct. Yeah, and they were they're a pack. Raptors, 2 or 3. These were like a swarm. And so we wanted to kind of have that crazy chicken kind of look to him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
how terrifying it would be to have a whole herd of chickens coming at you.
Actually pretty terrifying.
Yeah. And I think it was Greg Fiegel who sculpted the compy, and kind of he was really into that googly eye kind of, intensity that they
I love it.
yeah, they're really cool.
And in the book, they had like a secretion, of course, completely made up because we don't know anything like that about dinosaurs, but they had this like poison in their bite. So they could like a piranha, almost. Piranhas don't have a poison. What am I thinking of? Something that just immobilizes something so much bigger, right?
Like a snake, a rattlesnake or something like that, I think.
Yeah, like a rattlesnake. Well, I also saw a Stegosaurus in the chat. So let's go ahead and take a look at a stego.
There was kind of a sad story with the Stegosaurus. We built an entire full-size mechanical Stegosaurus.
Wow.
And we brought it up to Oregon, I believe it was, where we were shooting. And it just never ended up getting shot. They went full CG with it, but it was this beautiful sculpture, and oh my God, it was just amazing to see it in that terrain. And you just felt like, because where we were, it had these huge trees, these old trees that had been burned out or something. But it looked like something right out of a Henderson painting or something. It was just phenomenal to look at. But it just never made it into the show. So I know.
Where is it?
She was dismantled and put in a warehouse somewhere, probably.
I've been to Kerner Optical, and they've got some of that stuff laying around.
Oh, really?
You don't think somebody saved the full size?
I don't know. That's a hard thing. You spend so much time and energy building these things, and they serve their purpose, and then kind of go
and then
away.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, but they don't go away because they're in our hearts forever.
Yeah, forever.
So there's that. There's
immortalized.
We got people in the chat talking about pterodactyls. Now, I don't think this is a pterodactyl. I think this is a pterodon, right? So let's not screw up our
pteranodon, which actually showed up in the last movie, or the third. Excuse me. Well, obviously they've played heavily in the most recent films, but. I think it was in 2 at the end of one of them. And I apologize for being so, I worked on these films, and I should know them better.
Don't apologize.
And this actual scene, when they're flying through the clouds and kind of leaving the island, was a really fun one to do. And some of these I felt needed a background, and do something a bit more kind of atmospheric and cool.
And such a shout out to that beautiful shading work, because if you're just working in 2B, I know how much it would take to do all this. And like,
and it's a big piece too. I did all of them, like 20 by 30 or something like that.
Wow.
So they're all
one little 2B.
Yeah. Oh. Stan would come in, and I'd be like drawing on the upper left corner, filling in that. He's like, "What do you do? Why is this taking so long?" It's like, I got to finish that up there to make this down here look good, because if I don't, so.
And of course, for the paleontologists and the also dino lovers in the chat, it's not a dinosaur, right? Because this was actually considered a lizard because
flying reptiles. I think they tended to call them that. Yeah,
right, exactly that. Now tell me about the baby.
Yeah, the baby. I just wanted it to feel like a baby turkey, like a little fuzz on the neck and body, and they played pretty prominently in the third one, I believe, where the kid gets dropped into a nest and they all start kind of coming at him. I think when it was originally done, it might have been for a different movie, but they were used, which was great.
So good. I love him.
Thanks.
Seriously, I don't see anybody. Maybe somebody called out the Ankylosaurus, but I do want to switch to him because he's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Was he in a movie? Because I don't remember, and that's my fault for not remembering.
He comes again. I think they're in the river going down, and there's the Brachiosaurs and the Parasaurolophus, and and there's a couple of ankylosaurs down at the water drinking. It was one of those beauty shots where it's like, look how this island is populated with all these amazing things. And so, yeah, she did make an appearance, though, which is great.
They're such a unique creature. And, you know, I don't know. I wonder, again, just like the Triceratops, what kind of other things could, you know, because when you look at a rhinoceros skull, you don't see the horn, actually.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Right.
So that makes me get really excited about one of these guys where they actually have the spikes. Like, what kind of things could have been attached?
Exactly.
Like, it could have, like a shell, like a bigger shell.
And what it takes to have fossils happen, like,
and survive.
And I know a paleontologist will have that percentage, but I think we've only seen, like, you know, 5% of the life that was actually living there, because only of what's been preserved is what we know. So imagine the other crazy thing we've never even seen. Like, that's, yeah, we need a time machine.
We do need a time machine. And paleontologists out there, you're doing the right work, honestly.
Yeah, because it's so exciting.
It is exciting, and I wonder if we could ever bring them back, like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Do you think? I know it's so cheesy.
The question is, should we bring them back?
Channeling Ian Malcolm over here, being the reserve mathematician, Crash McCreery.
With Jeff Goldblum influence.
Oh, what a hero. Honestly, who doesn't love Jeff Goldblum? And we got one more, actually, and nobody said this in the chat because it's kind of another deep cut dino. But let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time enjoying Gallimimus.
Oh,
and now,
yeah, Gallimimus.
You had told me that this was in the book specifically by name, but I remember as a kid being sort of gobsmacked by a unique dinosaur. You know, it wasn't like a Struthiomimus, which is like the basic dino that you would see, or Ornithomimus or something, right? It's such a unique one.
I think it was a little bigger or a little more robust, and I think that's why we liked it. And it was part of a stampede, like if you were in a stampede of ostriches that just went out of their minds.
Yeah.
So that was a great scene. That was very cool. And so again, it was, you know, important to show it running and just trying to get that idea of motion. And he was. It's funny because one of the first tests we also saw from ILM was they had built a bunch of skeletons of this dinosaur and had them running through the field. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Sorry.
See if they have any dinosaur questions for us.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, hello. We're on Dino Chat. We can answer your questions.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. So they had skeletons, just like, so it wasn't the dino.
It was just cool because it was still early on in their development, but they just wanted to show how they would run, you know, and what they would look like in a herd. So it was really effective, even though they weren't fleshed out and all of that. It was just cool seeing these skeleton ostriches running through the field. It was really pretty cool.
And this is one of the ones where they used the new technique from ILM. They didn't build models necessarily, or did they do both?
No, well, we would do maquettes of everything, and those would be sent to ILM, and then they'd cut them apart, scan them. Yeah, so we were all working off the same maquette, which was important because then we would go and build the life-size version of that. So we always had a model and template for everyone to be working off of. But we never built a mechanical Gallimimus because we knew the scene was that they were running the entire time. There was never a static moment. So we knew that was going to be completely digital at that point.
So the mechanical ones had to have like something off screen, like the big T-Rex that like got in the car.
Yeah, it's for those subtle moments where it's kind of looking into a car, or the raptors, you know, in the kitchen, you know, kind of scoping things out. And it really was kind of breaking it down, like where we could use the live action and where, you know, digital is going to step in. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I can't believe it. We made it through all the pieces that you sent over, which is amazing. That's why I wanted to do it in this random way, because I didn't want, like, if we didn't get through the pictures, I was going to feel really bad. But so let's go ahead and go to one of these big, beautiful pictures and just hang out on one. And let's talk. There's a lot of questions in chat because everyone's so stoked to have you. Let me see, maybe something like this because it's so striking. I don't know. It's such a good picture.
Thanks.
Okay. So let me take a peek at the chat because we got about 5 minutes left here with Crash McCreery, and everyone's just freaking out and so excited to talk to you.
Oh,
There's a question about like, were you always interested in dinosaurs since you were a child, and have you
yes,
always drawn them? Yeah,
absolutely. That's all I
yeah,
did in school. Draws too much in class on my every report card. Any chance I got, because I didn't have videotape and I didn't have cable, and I didn't. There was none of that.
yeah,
We didn't have
yeah.
a video store to rent movies, so you had to wait. I remember getting the TV guide I think it came out every Sunday or Saturday or something. And so I would just scour it looking for, creature features or Fright Night, and like looking
Right.
for the next monster movie to come on. So you just had to wait, and they would come on, or King Kong would come on, and it was an event, it was like, get ready. So
Yeah.
yeah, ever since I was a kid, drawing dinosaurs, and looked at a lot of books and tried to replicate what they were doing. And yeah, so Jurassic was just kind of a dream come true for me, really. I mean, it's ironic.
Which one's your favorite movie that you worked on, or does it just all blend together?
Of the Jurassic movies, or
Yeah, yeah. And
the
then
first
maybe
one?
of the first one.
Oh, absolutely. Just because we didn't know how it was going to play. Like literally until we went in and saw the screening of the final movie, that we had no idea if it was going to be a success or not. I mean, there was so much that was riding on it, with the whole digital technology, and we didn't know if they were going to play well together, and was the story going to get lost. Steven was working on Schindler's List at the same time, so he was overseas receiving dailies and cutting while he was working on Schindler's List. And we were like, oh my God, I hope this comes out good. And then we went to the screening. We had a screening for the cast and crew, and we walked out just going, wow, that was awesome. Yeah.
That must have been such a good moment, because it was all new and you didn't know it was going to be
Yeah.
this instant classic, but it was an instant classic. It really was.
Yeah.
A couple questions about how big the drawings are. You had already said that 20 by 30-ish, but what do you use? Fixative? How do you keep them nice? Like, what do you do with real material?
I never put fixative on them because I had a bad experience where I don't know what was in the can, but I sprayed a drawing and it just clouded the whole thing and ruined it. So I just, I'm very careful with them, and then I just put them under glass as soon as I can.
That's smart. And now
at the studio, yeah.
Yeah. Did you save your pencil problem? Did you figure it out? Do you have a new 2B that you love, or are you just...
No. And I'm struggling. I'm the work I'm doing these days, I'm going back to the drawing board, which is great, because I felt like I was just getting way too much into the photo bashing stuff. And I love Photoshop and it's fun, but I lost this, and
yeah.
So I go back to the drawing board a lot, but I'm retraining my hand to deal with this new lead that just doesn't do the same thing.
So. Oh, we gotta help you out. We gotta find you the perfect 2B.
Right? I know. There's got to be a stash of them somewhere. I'm trying to
find
them.
Crash is suffering. Send us the 2B. Send us the 2B. It's so sad. Oh, I know, right? What was your favorite moment working on Jurassic Park? Asked Jonathan, and maybe just like for the entire series.
I think
through the whole series.
The whole series. Working the jaw on the raptors and the T-Rex, especially in the second one where we tore apart a Winnebago. To have that kind of power at your hands. I mean, those guys were genius. The guys that did the mechanics and the, the computers and everything. And you could just sit there and play with this giant dinosaur and literally tear out Winnebago apart. It was amazing. And being inside the raptor suit, that was really fun.
That's amazing that you were able to do that. It's seriously such a moment. Now, we've got Martine in the chat asking, do you think that traditional artists are going the way of the dinosaurs because of this digital era? And like, is there tension there for you? You use Photoshop, but I hear you speak a little bit about the tension, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think my biggest fear, and this is what I love about what Bobby does and his endeavors, schools tend to they push a lot about speed and getting, and that is true. You do have to be quick, and none of these drawings were quick. And Stan gave me that time to kind of really develop them out, and it paid off, as far
Yeah.
as selling the idea. Anytime we had something we wanted to try and, win, he would let me go off and do these and take the time to do it right. I don't think it's a lost art, but I would love to see more people starting with pencil. Sketchbooks are great. It's a great like training ground, and it doesn't bother me with the using Photoshop or digital programs, so long as they don't get sucked into glitzy effects that are push of a button. So
Totally.
design is still critical.
Yeah, I agree with you. We have about a minute and a half. So how about we just end on your best advice for aspiring artists? What do you tell people if they want to do what you do?
Do what you love to do. Like, if we all have to take jobs sometimes. I lucked out. I walked into a place that my first job was to design the Predator 2, and then Edward Scissorhands into Jurassic Park and Terminator 2. So that was just the luck of the Irish. So, but if you do what you love to do and you pursue what you love to do, and sometimes you got to turn things down when it doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do. But I mean, if you're doing what you love to do, then you will succeed. I really believe.
Crash, I love that so much. I have enjoyed talking to you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I can't say that enough.
Thank you. That was just so fun. And thank you you've got me all excited about dinosaurs again.
Yeah, we're going to talk to you guys, paleontologists. You stay tuned. We're going to send you emails. Stay tuned. There's more here at Lightbox Expo and at Adobe Live, but I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.
Fantastic. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate it.